Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, May 12th, 2015. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. An agreement in the amount of $220,000 was earlier today signed between the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Compete Caribbean, geared at strengthening the capacity of Invest SVG to attract foreign direct investments. The signing ceremony took place at Cabinet Room. Director of Invest SVG Bernadette Ambrose Black says the project is the brainchild of her organization and will set Compete Caribbean providing $180,000 in technical assistance, which will serve to train the staff of Invest SVG and further strengthen the institution. Compete Caribbean's private sector lead specialist Sylvia Donert says Compete Caribbean is a private sector development program set up to assist the 15 CARIFORUM countries and is funded by the Government of Canada, the United Kingdom's Department for International Development, the International Development Bank and the Caribbean Development Bank. Moreover, Donert says her team is extremely happy to be working with Invest SVG and is confident that the project will yield very positive results.
Very important activities that we do is that we work with governments across the region to try to do legal, regulatory and administrative reforms, or to work with agencies that work with the private sector in order to facilitate the best business climate if possible to facilitate investment and development. As you may know, foreign direct investment is a very important tool for economic growth, to generate employment and to grow new sectors that may not be existing right now in a particular economy. I wanted to tell you that this is not the first investment promotion strengthening project that we've had in the region. We've worked with a number and are working with a number of investment promotion agencies also in the Caribbean. We've had two very successfully completed projects, one with JAMPRO and one with Beltrade, and in both cases the projects have had very concrete results in terms of new firms coming in and increased employment. In the case of Belize, for example, by following a particular strategy that the program helped Beltrade develop, it doubled the size of one particular sector and generated more than 2,000 jobs, and that's just continuing.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says he is hopeful and also sure that Compete Caribbean will bring to Invest SVG what he terms as disruptive ideas.
I don't want us to have just the process which says we must have new ideas, and just the recitation of, or the incantation of the notion of new ideas when there are in fact no new ideas, because there are many men and women who say there is a necessity and desirability for new ideas, and the listeners say, boy, that man, that woman really has new ideas. When you ask them, well, what is the new idea? There is no new idea, just that they're in love with the idea of new ideas. So we have to bring to the table real new ideas and disruptive thought processes. For what purpose? To attract investment, create wealth and jobs. This is what it is about.
Prime Minister Gonsalves further states that while Invest SVG has done well, sourcing and accepting the help of Compete Caribbean is an acknowledgement by the local company that they can do better. Prime Minister Gonsalves challenged the Invest SVG staff to embrace all to be gained from the program.
An external referent, REFERENT, an external reference point is always useful to come in, to inject, to bring it in, to bring something fresh, to refresh the process. And I'm hoping that we will not have within Invest SVG a resistance to disruptive ideas which are going to take us to a new level. Because we can't be spending this money of 200 and something thousand US dollars as window dressing, that we have a nice ceremony here. Nice meaning exact, an exact ceremony. And then there are good headlines, everybody's reporting well, but then you have people in Invest SVG don't want to embrace any kind of disruptive thinking which is going to take it to a higher plane. And I'm quite sure that they are looking forward to new ideas, new approaches.
The program is expected to last for a period of 14 months, and it is anticipated at the end of the project there will be an increase in foreign direct investments in SVG. The U.S.-registered light twin-engine aircraft, which crash-landed in Georgetown yesterday afternoon, is said to have requested priority for landing at the E.T. Joshua Airport before it went down. A media release issued today on the incident by Director of Airports Corsell Robinson states that around 2:27 p.m. the aircraft, which was en route from George Charles Airport in St. Lucia to the E.T. Joshua Airport here in St. Vincent, reported it had a slight problem when it was about 6 miles away. The airport's director says there were no specific details given about the nature of the problem the aircraft was experiencing and that the pilot did not declare an emergency. Robinson outlines that shortly after the transmission was made, communication with the aircraft was lost and that a short while later, air traffic control at the E.T. Joshua Airport received a call from Duncan Richardson, who is the pilot of the spray plane which operates out of Langley Park. Richardson informed the airport authorities that an aircraft had overflown the strip at Langley Park, following which there was a loud bang, and it was later confirmed that the aircraft had crashed in a field in the area. The aircraft was flown by 2 crew members, Captain Wayne McDermott of St. Lucia and First Officer Marvin Tika of Grenada. There were no passengers. The media release states that both men received injuries and are resting at the Milton Cater Memorial Hospital and that they are not considered critical at this time. The airport's director says an investigation into the incident has commenced and is led by Paul Delisle, Flight Operations Inspector of the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority, or the ECCAA. He is assisted by Richard Lindsay, Airworthiness Inspector of the ECCAA, and officials of the airport's department. And Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who is also Minister of National Security and Minister with responsibility for air and seaports, at a media event earlier today at Cabinet, said he is expected to meet with officials of the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority to get a comprehensive report on yesterday's incident.
As soon as I heard of was given information about the crash, I had the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Pompey, mobilize with the police and also to contact the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority. There's in Antigua, which is the headquarters for that regional authority. They're down here today. I've just given an appointment to them to speak to me at about 4:45 this evening so that they can give me firsthand what the results are, at least preliminarily, of their own investigation. They'll be required by the civil aviation rules to provide it in writing and so on and so on and so forth. But thank God we have been spared the worst.
With plans set to be moving apace for the opening of the Argyle International Airport this year, construction work on the main access road to the terminal building is currently being carried out. Providing an update on the progress of the multi-million-dollar project at yesterday's handing over of a check valued at $35,000 to the International Airport Contributory Fund by the returning Nationals SVG Group, Chief Executive Officer of the IADC, Dr. Rudy Matthias, says work on the road is progressing. Dr. Matthias says it is also their intention to build a small roundabout in the area to control the traffic that will be going to the airport.
We have started the road, we haven't yet started the roundabout, but then we have a good amount of time to get that done. As you know, we've already built one of the 2 access roads. There is already a road to the cargo terminal, and that one was built. And what needs to be done there now is the drainage and the surfacing of the road. But these 2 roads, they are really, in terms of what we're doing, fairly insignificant.
According to Dr. Matthias, they are also making plans to start fencing the airport, and the equipment for the fencing will start arriving in St. Vincent and the Grenadines next month.
We have ordered the fence equipment, that is the different sections of the fence. We are using a different type of fence. It's not the BRC, I mean the chain link fence that you see at E.T. Joshua. We're buying a different type of fencing system. And those equipment should be arriving sometime in June. I have heard some comments by people who seem to know everything, that somehow the fencing is going to take another year or two. Now, I don't know why in heavens should fencing of an airport take another year or two. But I can tell you the way we intend to do it is, of course, to start preparing the foundations now. And we are going to hire a number of small teams of people so that we can give different teams sections of the fencing to do, so that it can be done very efficiently in a fairly short period of time. So that we believe that by September, the fencing of the airport should be substantially complete, if not totally finished.
In related news, the IADC CEO says having received the terminal building in December of 2013, they have been ordering and installing different types of equipment to have the building fully operational soon.
Very early next month, we are expecting to receive the conveyor belts, what we call our baggage systems. Those have been shipped from New Zealand. We bought them from a New Zealand company, and they should be arriving here by the first week of June. We have, in our international terminal, a fairly big outbound conveyor belt system. That is the one that you would see behind the airline counters. And in the arriving hall, we have two big conveyor belts. That is in the international terminal. Then we have in the domestic terminal, as you know, we have an international terminal that is separate from the domestic terminal. In the domestic terminal, we have a small inbound conveyor belt as well as a small outbound conveyor belt. We have 6 desks in the checking desk in the domestic terminal, so we will have a conveyor belt for those desks, to serve those desks as well. Now, this equipment is arriving sometime in June, I believe by the first week of June. And as you must have seen, that we've been advertising in the newspaper for people who have electrical installation backgrounds to come to help us do the installation of the conveyor systems.
Dr. Matthias adds that the IADC has also bought 2 jet bridges that are ready to be shipped here.
And we expect that given the modifications that we have to do to the front of the terminal to accommodate these bridges, that this work and the installation of the bridges should be done by August. That is our plan. We can get them done before, but it depends on the rate at which OECC does the modification work in front there for us. But these bridges are already built, and they are just to be shipped now to be installed in front there, on the front of the international terminal. And these will serve the 2 of the largest planes that will be parked at Argyle. This month also, we expect to receive most of our scanning equipment, the security equipment, the big scanners and so on. We've ordered them, and they are supposed to be arriving here late this month, and if not late this month, certainly by the first week of June. Now, these will be held in the terminal building until we are ready to install them and to test them and so on.
Vincentians are being encouraged to begin thinking of ways in which they can conserve more water. The advice comes from Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Howie Prince, who says from his observation it appears that this country will be entering a period of severe drought and citizens ought to plan ahead.
I want you to know that it is very dry in the country, and it seems to be getting drier. In fact, I believe that regionally some states of the region are under what we refer to as a drought warning. It means that at this time of the year, when we should be getting rain, we're not getting enough, and therefore, if it continues this way, and the forecast says that it might, the forecast that I've seen says that it is very likely that we will go until close to July before the rain starts falling. If that is the case, then I'm sure that the CWSA will put out its bulletins on how to conserve water. In the meantime, that's something that we have to start to think about. How do you conserve water that you have so that we can go right through until the rainy season arrives having water? Water is our most precious commodity. You can't live without it. You've seen what it can do if it comes too much, but we can't live without it, and therefore it is important for all of us, all of you, to do your best to conserve water.
The second cohort of local grade 6 students will be examined this Friday in the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, or the CPEA examination, at 17 centers across SVG. The CPEA is an examination administered by the Caribbean Examinations Council for students exiting the primary cycle of their education. The students will sit multiple choice papers in mathematics, English, and science as their final exam. They have all completed the first part of their assessment, the internal school-based assessment, and their scores and the samples of their work have been forwarded to the Caribbean Examinations Council. The structure of the assessment makes it possible for students to earn a total of 40% of their final score through the internal assessment. The multiple choice component of the assessment will comprise 60% of their final score. This year, 1,829 students have been registered for the CPEA. There are 905 females and 924 males. The overall pass rate for the CPEA in 2014 was 78.08%. According to the Ministry of Education, the results of the 2015 examination are expected to be published by the middle of June. And earlier today, SVG-TV News took the opportunity to speak with Senior Qualified Assistant Teacher, or SQAT, at the Dorchester Hill Government School, Patricia James, who took the opportunity to give the parents of the CPEA students some worthy tips. James says it is essential that parents do their best to ensure that children are well rested and get a proper breakfast before heading to the exam room. She also emphasized the need for children to get to the centers on time and have all the tools needed for the exams. Graduate teacher Hazel Ann Crichton, who has been preparing the students for the exams, says she is proud of the determination of the 8 students who will be sitting the exams for the school. She believes the 4 boys and 4 girls from the school will maintain the 100% pass mark achieved last year. The students admitted to us that though they are nervous, they are ready for Friday's exams.
I am nervous, but I'm very prepared.
So who has been helping you to be prepared?
My mother and my father.
Okay.
I have been doing projects, and in the 3rd term we were reviewing what we've done. And I'm asking God to help me.
Okay. And you say you've been asking God to help you. So you've been going to church. What have you been doing? Praying what?
Praying. And I went to Sunday school, and my teacher prayed for us.
That's very good. So what are some of the projects you've done so far?
Building volcanoes and houses. We made a lemon line project, circuit, all kind of projects.
I'm studying and going by my friend, and she's helping me. And both of us are asking questions.
All right. Anything else you want to tell other students over there, other children, parents? Anything you want to say?
Don't be nervous and be confident.
Things have been quite okay for the time. My teacher, my mom, my dad, everyone is giving me support. Frightened, worried.
What exactly are you worried about?
If I'll pass or not.
But you still have the support and confidence to go about it?
Yeah, still have the support, confidence.
Yeah, but I will do the exams.
Okay. So, what exam is coming up soon?
CPA.
And how you feel about that? How you feel? Tell us about that.
Nervous, but I will try to myself.
And hope that God's way I will pass.
So what are some of the things you've been doing to prepare for the exam?
Studying, revising with my classmates and my teachers.
Who has been supporting you? Who has been helping you?
My parents and teachers and classmates.
And how have they been helping you?
By getting a notebook and revising. The teachers doing over revision of all the work we done and showing examples.
Anything else you want to say to other students out there?
Have confidence and don't be afraid.
The three winners of the St. Vincent Brewery Haroon Bear 30th Anniversary Label Competition have been announced. The first place went to Stephen Vera, second Dwight Davis, and third place Okana Graham. The brewery's commercial brand manager Shafir London Williams says the label design contest began in February of this year and the limited edition labels will be a collector's item.
In front of me is a representation of the three labels which we have selected as the three labels that will be in circulation in the market over the next 8 weeks. They would be a limited edition label and therefore we encourage persons to collect them. It's the first time that Haroon is doing a triple label change and we are very happy as we celebrate 3 decades. We want to publicly thank all those who participated in the competition and we would like to extend our congratulations to the winners. We are very pleased with the final results and we hope that all of Haroon consumers would also enjoy the new labels and of course the product within the bottle.
In giving a brief history of the company, marketing coordinator Kelvin Franklin says when famed German brewery House came to the Caribbean 30 years ago in search of a location site for their company, they found St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be the ideal place.
They found the perfect location in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They fell in love with the island's rich history, its people, and our unique way of life. Above all, St. Vincent and the Grenadines was the perfect location because it was flowing with soft, crystal clear spring water, a prerequisite for good beer. The two cultures were blended together and St. Vincent Brewery was born. In June 1985, St. Vincent Brewery Limited Haroon Brewery bottled its first batch of freshly brewed St. Vincent and the Grenadines' very own Haroon beer. Over these 30 years, Haroon has become a household name and has grown by leaps and bounds and continued to hold its own as the most favored brew.
Carnival Beat is coming up next. Local businesses here involved in the sponsoring of contestants for the Miss SVG Pageant 2015 are urging the wider business community to get on board and support any aspect of the country's premier cultural festival, Vincy Mas. During last Saturday's Meet the Media event at the Young Island Resort, SVG-TV News spoke with some sponsors of this year's pageant who say they take very seriously their corporate responsibility and are extremely pleased to be associated with the 2015 pageant.
Ms. Sabrina Dixon, I'm here representing the Musty Company Limited. The Musty Company has always been a very responsible corporate citizen, and we pride ourselves on sponsoring events of this nature that support culture as well as young women. And we think that it's important, especially with a scholarship at stake, that we give our best in terms of ensuring that young ladies are properly supported in terms of their participation in this pageant.
My name is Keisha Brown from the French Veranda. A lot of people don't know the Miss SVG show is more than a beauty show in the carnival. It's more about the development of young ladies in St. Vincent and to see the difference of when they come from where they started and at the end of the show. It's a truly great experience.
My name is Michelle Martley. I am the Sales and Marketing Officer at Metrocin General Insurance Company Limited, and this is my co-worker, Ms. Holly Jack. Firstly, let me say that Metrocin has been sponsoring young ladies over the last couple of years, and actually Metrocin has been doing different forms of sponsorship through culture for Carnival. So it's not a new thing for Metrocin, and this is our way of giving back and offering, you know, the means for a young lady to go and further her dream, whether it's just to enter the pageant and win, and or also to get the opportunity for her to go off to study.
Well, let me just commend the Beauty Shows Committee of the Carnival Development Corporation. I think they've done a wonderful job in 2015 as far as the selection of the contestants are concerned. We at the National Lotteries Authority, we are very happy with the 2 contestants who are representing our 2 brands in Play 4 and Lotto. Of course, Miss Tisha Murray and Miss Keith Charles. And certainly Vincentians, based on what I've seen thus far, can look forward to a very good show on that night, Saturday, May 30th.